So last time we talked about common questions that we receive from patients when they're first considering treatment with us. Today we're going to talk about common concerns once they've started. So we know that there's an adjustment phase at the beginning when they first start treatment, which then often leads on to the question, when am I going to feel better?
When am I going to feel better? Okay, yeah, this is how long is a piece of string, because it's always work, work, work. Fundamentally, we have to get the medication in your system and get your levels stabilized. Now, it takes a couple of weeks for the HCG and about 4 to 8 weeks for the testosterone. Are you then going to be optimized? No. Now, we have to realize that the physiology then has to adapt and catch up. We may overshoot, we may need to adjust your protocol. So how you subjectively feel is more complicated than you think. It's about getting the physiology dialed in, and then how you feel is down to you. And again, we talk about earn your reward, because testosterone should be about normalization. And how should you feel when you're normal? Well, normal. So what does that mean? Well, I want to feel good because I want to reverse those negative symptoms. That's all down to you. We provide you with the foundation, the platform to do it, but you go forwards and you earn your reward through determined effort, which is why we say earn your reward constantly, because it's all down to you with the foundation of testosterone.
Okay, so everybody's different fundamentally. There is no fixed answer. It happens in time.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because some guys say that they feel better almost instantaneously. And again, you know, is that placebo? If it's placebo, go with it. Because again, it's about building on those little wins. So some guys, it takes months, if not years. And why does it take some guys years? Because obviously we know what we're doing here. Now, I had a guy the other day who has been on quite a journey. He's a bit despondent, a bit disillusioned at the moment because he doesn't feel better. And he doesn't feel better because it's not just as simple as dialing in your protocol. It's about making sure that all those other things are in place, your lifestyle, your nutrition, your exercise. I mean, for example, say if you're morbidly obese when you present to clinic, you are going to be on a journey. You're going to be on a journey to get your health in order. Now that means fundamentally losing weight. So if we dial you in and got you dialed in at week 10, when you're losing 20 kilos, is the protocol going to be the same? No, it's not going to be the same. So again, don't get disillusioned. It's a rite of passage and we will get you there, but it's a process and it takes time.
Okay, so over that time of stabilisation, especially at the beginning, we quite often get emails from patients who say to us, why have I suddenly got acne again? It's like I'm a teenager again. Why does that happen? And what do we do about it?
Well, it's interesting because traditionally we thought acne is to do with DHT. Now, fundamentally, we're talking about 3 hormones: testosterone, estradiol, and DHT. And DHT is kind of like the forgotten hormone because we don't actually have to worry about DHT. But what we found in clinical practice is it's actually more to do with estradiol, so estrogen, the dreaded estrogen. So acne is as a result of excess estrogen compared to testosterone and DHT. It's also to do with the fluctuations. And again, your body doesn't like change, it likes stability. So when you're going to give a drug or you're going to change your protocol to again adjust your hormone level, that is going to cause a change and that's going to disrupt physiology, disrupt that wonderful thing that we're trying to achieve, which is homeostasis, which is balance within the body. So your body can maintain that constant level despite external changes.
That potentially then goes into libido. So we often receive emails that say my libido has suddenly changed. It's suddenly become lower than it was. It's suddenly become much higher than it was. Is it going to stay like that? Is that going to stabilise?
Libido is complex. Now, it's funny, isn't it? Sometimes when we get those emails or concerns that my libido is too high, and so you've gone from a low libido state to a too high libido state. Well, which one would you rather have? You know, I'd prefer to have a rather high libido. But again, you know, you're not going to be 16 horny goat boy all the time because libido being complicated, it's more than just testosterone getting dialed in on your protocol. It's the stresses and strains of modern life. Now, are you supposed to have a high libido when you're stressed? And the answer to that question is no, because you're supposed to be surviving and it's a response to the stress. So high libido is a temporary thing. Low libido hopefully is also a temporary thing because you're going to get yourselves dialed in, do all the things that you should be doing, and the fundamental, most important thing that you need to do is reduce that stress. So I often say to guys, what's your libido like on holiday? What's your libido like at the weekend? And if your libido's good on the holiday and at the weekend, there's nothing to worry about. Literally, you just need to address those things that are negatively impacting libido. And it is just a little bit more complicated than just testosterone.
Okay, what about sleep? So we often get told my sleep has suddenly got a lot worse. Why could that be?
When we screen patients, we always ask them about sleep because one of the causes of low testosterone is obstructive sleep apnea. And when you think about that, that is essentially snoring that's impacting the oxygen concentration or the passage of air in and out of your lungs. Now, if that is happening, your oxygen saturations are dropping, which means that you are going to wake up because you're in a stressed state. Now, that can worsen with testosterone replacement therapy, which sounds disappointing because obviously with testosterone replacement therapy, we're normalizing testosterone levels, which should make you more healthy. But it has a fundamental, both central and peripheral component to it. So we do often say to guys, listen, monitor your sleep. And if the missus says you're snoring, believe her. And if you are snoring, then it is worth organizing a sleep study just to see whether the oxygen saturations are dropping, because there are things that you can do about that. Now, again, lots of things impact sleep. Now, if your levels are too high, you're too wired. Now, the counterbalance to testosterone is cortisol, the stress hormone. So again, if you raise testosterone, the cortisol tries to rise up as well, and you are too stressed, and then that's down-regulates eventually. We also have to realize that, again, hormonal balance is a little bit more complicated than just testosterone. When it comes to sleep, it has to do with estradiol. So again, estradiol has a relationship with serotonin, which is the happiness chemical. Now again, that serotonin neurotransmitter is involved in sleep regulation. So if your estradiol is elevated or your estradiol is low in comparison to testosterone, your sleep pattern is going to become dysregulated. So again, it's all about balancing your testosterone level in and also looking to the other things that you can impact. And fundamentally, the most important thing is, guess what? Stress.
Okay, so something slightly more physical. What about testicular shrinkage? If that's being noticed, is that normal? Is it going to change?
Well, our gold standard testosterone replacement therapy is testosterone, cypionate, and HCG. And why is that? Essentially, we're taking over the HPG axis, the hypopituitary gonadal axis. So this is hormone replacement therapy, not testosterone replacement therapy. In traditional testosterone monotherapy, you are going to suppress the signals that get sent down from the brain down to the testicles. Now that is going to result in testicular shrinkage. That can lead to pain, that can obviously lead to infertility because you're not getting the signals to produce normal testosterone production and fertility. On HCG, your testicles will fluctuate in size. Again, if we do a cold dip on Sunday, testicles are going to be small because it's cold. So you are going to get a little bit of testicular fluctuation, but when it comes to testosterone replacement therapy, we're not giving the optimal testicular function HCG dose. We're actually giving a slightly lower dose, and the reason for that is because, again, we are trying to optimize your hormones. We're not trying to optimize your fertility. Now, the guys that want to retain fertility or are desperate to conceive, I give them a slightly higher dose of HCG. But again, the process is slightly complicated. LH, the hormone that tells the testicles to produce testosterone, is released in a pulsatile manner. So it's pulsatile. HCG is a constant supply. Now that in turn increases estradiol because the aromatase enzymes located in the testicles. So it's always a balancing act, which is again why it's so important to understand that you leave the medicine to us, you just get on with what you can positively impact, and that's your lifestyle, your nutrition, your exercise. Testicles, as long as they're not causing pain, as long as they're not peanuts and going up into your inguinal canal, relax. Again, you are going to retain fertility. We've got hundreds of children as a result of the standard dose of HCG, but for an optimal dose, it is a slightly higher dose.
Okay, what about the guys who have transferred their care, who have been on testosterone-only protocols without the HCG? If that's a side effect that they've been experiencing, is that reversible?
Yeah, often guys have got testicular atrophy as a result of being on testosterone monotherapy. Now, I think we have to put this into perspective. Now, we obviously know that anabolic steroids will negatively impact your fertility. But the number of bodybuilders who have been abusing steroids for years who have kids, how is that? Now, remember what hormones are. Hormones are chemical messengers that help facilitate the function of their target organ. That doesn't mean that the target organ, in this instance, the testicles, is going to be absolutely defunct. It means that they can be suboptimal. So there is still the capacity to retain that normal function with the reintroduction of HCG. So yeah, it's a real non-issue, really.
Okay. What about water retention and bloating? So quite often we get told nothing else has changed, it's just I'm now on TRT, but these are symptoms that I'm experiencing. Is that transient or?
Yeah, I mean, it's super common in the first few weeks. Now, why is that? What we're doing again is we're going to raise your levels from low to normal. Fundamentally, you get reactivation of the steroidogenesis cascade, which is a whole load of hormones that cascades down from cholesterol to pregnenolone to a whole load of hormones. Now, you are going to get some bloating as a result of one hormone in particular called aldosterone. That is a temporary thing, quite normal, settles down. Now, if you're bloating and your water retention continues, so like, you've got puffy ankles, puffy face, that's typically as a result of excess estradiol. And again, that's something that will get dialed in with proper follow-up and doing the things that you need to be doing.
So obviously after the first few weeks of treatment, further blood's done, 4 weeks, and then again at 10 weeks. Quite often we get the question after the 10-week blood test that suddenly I've got low LH and FSH. I thought HCG prevented that. Why would that be?
So HCG mimics luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. It is not luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. So that suppression is very normal. So the HCG will help preserve testicular size and function, but that's it. So it's a non-issue. And again, we don't test LH and FSH in the 10-week bloods because we don't need to, because we know it's going to be suppressed. If you're using testosterone replacement therapy, you will get suppression of LH and FSH. That's quite normal, that's quite expected, and we actually want that to happen. It shows that the testosterone is actually effective. And again, we're titrating the dose according to response. So you don't have to worry about that. We want your LH and FSH to be suppressed.
So on a normal blood report, it shows as less than 0.3 usually, doesn't it?
99 times out of 100, yeah, absolutely. We want that.
Yeah. Okay, what about a rise in hematocrit? So that's also another common one, especially in the first few months of treatment. Is it something to be concerned about, and how can it be managed?
So from a physiological perspective, testosterone impacts the kidneys. So increases the rate of erythropoietin production, which then tells the bone marrow to produce red blood cells. Now with low testosterone, rarely, but sometimes people can present with anemia. So a rise in red blood cell count can obviously be a positive thing. Now we're trying to raise things to normal. Okay, so obviously if your hematocrit goes to above normal, that's abnormal. But what does that mean? Well, hematocrit is essentially the concentration of red blood cells within the plasma, and obviously that plasma is being pumped around the heart. Now we want red blood cells because they carry oxygen to the tissues. So we want lots and lots of red blood cells. But again, fundamentally, it's a cell in the plasma being pumped around by the heart. So more cells, thicker blood, heart is having to struggle. So we often see a rise in blood pressure as a result of a rise in hematocrit. Now, this is a non-issue with a carefully titrated protocol. Now, there are other things that can be impacting your hematocrit. Number one, look to dehydration. Number two, look to other things like hemochromatosis. Are you smoking? Do you have any kidney problems? Do you have, going back to obstructive sleep apnea, because again, low oxygen tells the bone marrow to go, hold on, I need to produce more red blood cells to get more oxygen. So again, it's a non-issue in a properly supervised TRT protocol. Very rarely do you have to donate blood because your protocol should be dialed in by somebody that knows what they're doing.
I think we're covered for today.